From this moment on, you will now be known as Sharkbait.
Sharkbait, ooh-ha-ha!
Welcome, brother Sharkbait.
Sharkbait, ooh-ha-ha!
Enough with the Sharkbait.
Sharkbait, ooh!
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is D bringing you an update on the Frag tank, man. Just giving you a Sunday morning update on status and some progress to put you guys at ease. Those of you that are starting tanks out and get kind of discouraged, I'm just going through updates here so you can see the different phases of the tank. So now this tank was set up on Super Bowl Sunday, and today is the 29th of March. So this is like a progress, what, 2 month, 3 month, 2.5 month update. So let me just show you where the tank is going. All right, so let me just bring you in for a close-up. First, it's really important. I can't stress it enough. I'm not an oceanographer or a marine biologist, but I see a lot of people get dissuaded and kind of turned off of the hobby because they go through the different cycles and they really get nervous when things go out of control. But you'll look at my last video, you'll see that it was going through the diatom phase, which you can't avoid. That's how a tank cycles. You go through a diatonomous, if I'm pronouncing it not, diatonomous, that's the correct pronunciation. A diatonomous cycle where the tank establishes the correct bacteria to deal with the different phases, ammonia levels and phosphate levels in the tank. And because I only had 2 fish in it, which is a really good idea, you should start with 1 fish, but I had 2 fish, my mollies here, to just kickstart the biological cycle without adding all kind of additives and things, just to get the cycle established. And you will get diatonomous algae, or diatoms for short. Well, you go through that phase. It takes a while, but as your bacteria get established, it passes like everything else. It's very important not to get panicked. When people see algae, they panic and they go out and buy all kind of chemicals and they go, well, what do? I got algae, I got this, I got that. It's part of the cycle, and the more you set up tanks and the longer you're in the hobby, you don't get scared. It's just like a planted tank. You won't get scared when you see certain things. You'll get used to it and you'll expect them. So we went through that phase. How I deal with it is change water on a weekly basis. You got to have a set schedule. This is a 20-gallon tank, so I had 5 gallons of water on hand all the time. I take out 5 gallons and I put in 5 gallons. I don't do more than that because you don't want to remove the beneficial bacteria. So you go through that cycle and it passes, and then you will often or most often see a green algae phase. First you'll go through the diatoms, then you'll see more green algae or more the cyano type algae. That is the point where you want to add your cleanup crew. There's no point in adding a cleanup crew to a tank with nothing for them to feed off of. A lot of people set up the tank on Monday and they add the cleanup crew on Tuesday. All you're doing is adding to the biological load of the tank, and you're increasing the odds of getting more negative algae. You can see there's still a little bit of algae there. I leave it there. But that's part of the cycle, and it's part of owning a reef tank, is going through phases. It's like childhood. First you go to kindergarten, then you go to the 1st, 2nd grade, and eventually you go to high school. You remember my my one Sally black-footed clownfish? Well, guess what? That's not him. That is him in the corner with the shrimp. He hangs out with that shrimp. They're like best buds. Where'd he go? But I did get another one. And there it is over there. So the 2 of them kind of getting used to each other. But I thought it was really kind of cruel because the mollies were sitting there and they're a pair. I don't want to add a lot of fish to the tank because the molly is going to have babies soon. So I didn't want to start loading it. And you do not want to over increase the bio load of the tank. So I forgot his name. What do you call him? He just kind of bounces. But I don't know, Thumper maybe I'll call him. And that would be Bambi. That's really corny. But yeah, I added them to the tank and they're getting along. And along with those guys, I added my cleanup crew, which are 3 Mexican turbo snails. Nice. Turbo snails. And if you look at the rock, you'll see that in 2 days, there's the other one, I got 3. In 2 days, they ramsacked the algae that was on that rock. See how white it is? Well, guess what? I haven't cleaned it in a week. And if you look at those, you'll see that was on the rock. You clean it off as you go, but now that I have my cleanup crew, they will do that for me. So let me just put the camera down here and get a little stability there, and I'll give you a little what for. Hold on a second here. So what you'll notice is not only is my cleaning crew in here, but you'll notice that I had coral in here, and you'll even see them in the previous video. Now what I do, and what may vary from reefer to reefer, is when my tank hits the diatom phase, when I start to see diatoms on the rock, is when I add my coral, because my coral then have nutrients. That shows that the nutrients are in the tank and the cycle is becoming established. It gives something for my coral to feed on, and that gives me a signal that the cycle is becoming somewhat stable. So that is the phase in which I add my coral, and you'll see corals like the frog spawn, the pulsing zinnia, the Kenya trees. The first one I added was the zinnia and Kenya trees because they are probably the hardiest coral that you'll run into in a hobby. But once they've been established and the algae becomes a little more towards the green algae phase, is when I add other things like zoos and mushrooms. And then that phase tells me that I add my cleanup crew, because then my cleanup crew have something to eat. You don't want to add the cleanup crew in the tank when there's nothing for them to feed off of. Now, the shrimp was an animal that was really good, because shrimp do a good job of eating both solid foods like flakes and things that come in the small corners and that the fish leave behind. So that is a very good addition to the tank, you know. But now that it went from the diatom phase to the algae phase, like the green algae, you get little coralline on the glass, like you'll see here, there's little spots of coralline on the glass and things. That tells me, okay, my cleanup crew is in place. Now, one thing with a frag tank is, I'll tell you, it's not the typical frag tank. I didn't want a whole big grate. I wanted it to look like a tank. But one thing that the Mexican turbo snails do, because they're big, is they will knock things over. They definitely will. I'll take the camera off and give you a little shot close up. There's one cleaning off this rock here. Let me zoom in on him there. Very big guy. This rock had a little bit of, where is it? Yeah, had a little bit of diatomic algae on it, you know, or cyano growing on it, and it is now gone. That means I got a happy snail, I got a happy tank, and everything is progressing. But since these are on plugs and those snails are really big, you'll see my other one up there, they're really big. They will knock things over, so just expect that if you got things like that. This little plating coral was dead upstairs. I brought it down here. That was knocked over this morning because the snail must have crawled on it and tipped it over. So things like that. I have the waving hand zinnias up here from the tank upstairs. Everything's coming from the tank upstairs. So, you know, I know that they're growing. I got an idea of what their requirements are. But this would be the phase 3 of the tank. Now that your biological cycle is becoming more stable, you're doing your water changes, you're topping off, and you're testing. That gives you a good sign that, you know, the tank is healthy and you're getting in the zone, as I say, in the zone. One thing that I also have here, which I usually or haven't done before, is I ordered I got a pink urchin. Never had a pink urchin, but he's cool because, once again, cracks and crevices where the snails would get stuck, he slips right in there. And one cool thing about him, I'll try to zoom in. My tank doesn't have a sand substrate. It has a shell-based substrate, which is all broken shell, if I can focus here. Has a shell substrate. There you go. He took one of the shells and used it for a hat. Usually they'll pick up your coral. They especially love zoanthus. There you go, the backlighting. They love picking up corals and carrying them around. This guy is wearing a shell on his back like a hat. So I'm going to call him Cappy, because he got a little cap made out of shells. But yeah, the tank is progressing. Everything is coming along. And this is part of starting a reef. So if everybody out there, you know, looking, you know, got their little reefs going and they run into little things, that is a very, very patient requiring thing. Starting a reef. A roof. Don't mind me, it's early. Starting a reef requires patience. There's different phases, but you will get there. And like I said, this tank is about 3 months old. I started it Super Bowl Sunday. What was that, February? adding the fish anyway. The water was in it in January for a couple of weeks. This is month number 3, actually. The fish went in Super Bowl Sunday, and now it is almost April. In a couple of days it'll be April, and we're making progress. So let me just wrap it up by giving you a little tour. Got my little frog spawn there. The zinnias, you know. One of my famous green mushrooms here. Tons and tons of Kenya trees. What I've started doing is cutting them in shapes. I cut them in various shapes. Like if you have a tall scaping background, you want it to be height wise, or if you want it low to the ground, you can prune them. It's like growing a garden. It's like a zinnia garden. You can prune them in the shape that you want them to grow. I have Cheetomorpha stuck into certain corners, which also does a great job of absorbing nutrients. I grow some in that back canister, which is a baby fish hatchery, if you want to know. So I grow it there and I remove it, I give it away, but it absorbs a lot of the nutrients in the tank. And once again, I don't have no sump on this tank. I just built this tank myself. Everything is built in. There's the Reef skimmer, which has been doing a decent job here. You can see it's been running once I finagled with it. I have some Chemipure in there, not Chemipure Elite, plain old Chemipure, because before they had Elite, they had Chemipure. And filter pads, just good old-fashioned fiber floss in there that I change on every couple of day basis. And that's my filtration. So the filtration is very simple, no sump because it's in a basement. This is actually sitting on a cabinet. And there's my update, man. So post any questions you got. Check out the channel, hit that subscribe button. Join me on Facebook, DFB Aquatics and Brooklyn Aquarium Society on Facebook, and look for some more updates. If you have videos, guys, by all means, shoot me a message, send me links to your channel. Join us on Facebook, Brooklyn Aquarium Society. I'll let you know when our upcoming meetings and auctions and speakers are going to present, and I'll keep you posted. So until next time, this is D, man, keeping my mind straight, keeping my sanity, keeping my aquariums, and I'm waiting for these guys to have babies. So I'm going to end you on this note. Ozzy and Harriet, see ya! Ozzy wants a little nookie. Bad boy.